Greetings, brothers and sisters, greetings. First and foremost, we must acknowledge our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahushua, for allowing His word to come out. I hope you sincere. Brothers and sisters are truly edified by today's word. Today is the Sabbath. Most people recognize today as Saturday. Us as Israelites, we recognize today as the Sabbath. Later today, we're going to bring you the Sabbath service. I hope you guys tune in. But what I want to speak to you guys about today is self-discipline. The need for self-discipline, especially if you're a spiritual law-abiding citizen. You someone that try to live by the ways of the Lord, by His law, statutes, and commandments. There has to be a need for self-discipline. And also, if you someone that take the position of being a servant of the Lord, one that preach and teach this gospel, there has to be a serious need for self-discipline. So I'm going to name today's word running the race and being awarded with the eternal prize. The ultimate goal, fellas, is eternal salvation. Okay? We all run in this race of life. But what's going to separate the live and jive is what prize is you seeking? Are you seeking a new house? Are you seeking a new car? Are you seeking the best and the most lavish material items? Is that the prize you're seeking? Those are all worldly prizes. And those that want to go after those prizes, I'm not here to judge you. But what I want to speak about today is the eternal prize, which is eternal salvation. So when you run the race, because we are all collectively running the race. But what I want to speak about today is running the race and being awarded with the eternal prize. I'm going to come to you guys in 1 Corinthians 9, verses 24 through 27. And it reads, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. Let's say that again. 1 Corinthians 9, verse 24, and it reads, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. Okay? And the prize that I want to speak about today is the heavenly reward that you get, okay, for your spiritual character, for your spiritual lifestyle. That's the prize we're going to focus on today. A heavenly reward for your spiritual character. Okay? Verse 25. Well, we're still in verse 24. Once again, 1 Corinthians 9, verse 24, and it reads, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. And again, what is that prize? The heavenly reward for your spiritual character. Okay? It says, So run, that ye may obtain. You see that? So keep in mind, the prize we're going to focus on is a heavenly reward, aka eternal salvation, is what it boils down to. Verse 25, and it says, And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we are incorruptible. So it's a lot to unpack in verse 25. The first thing we want to focus on is it says, And every man that striveth for the mastery. Okay? Striving for the mastery is another way of saying contending and entering a contest. That's what the striving for the mastery is. You're contending, okay, when entering a contest. There's a competition. Okay. It says, and every man that striving for the mastery is temperate. In other words, when it comes to temperate, what does it speaks about? It's just like you preparing yourself for games. You're training, you're preparing yourself for the race. You're training and getting yourself in position. So what you're doing, when you look at it spiritually, you're abstaining from unwholesome foods. You are abstaining from wine. You are abstaining from sexual indulgence. Okay? That's what it means when it says temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown. What kind of crown? Corruptible, decayed, perishable crown. What crown are we talking about? A badge, a symbol of honor. Us as Israelites, us as spiritual law-abiding citizens, that's not the crown we seek. What crown are we seeking? It says, but we are an incorruptible. Okay, that means what? We're not liable to corruption. So again, the focus is going to be on the need for self-discipline. Verse 26, and it reads, I therefore, and this is Paul speaking, I therefore so run, not as uncertainty. So fight I, not as one that beateth the air. Okay, not as one that thrash and smite the air. Okay, and here's the point in verse 27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So it's a lot to unpack in verse 27, okay? The first thing it says, but in verse 27, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, but I keep under my body. In other words, when it comes to your body, Paul was saying he keep in subjection to the grind, to the vigorous training that is gonna take to allow you to be spiritually fit. Okay, so this is all metaphorically. Think of this metaphorically as you're getting ready to run the race, seeking a prize. You got to get yourself together. You got to train and you got to get yourself together. You just can't wake up, get out of your bed and go run a race and think you're going to win. There's preparation that has to happen. Okay. So when Paul says in verse 27, but I keep under my body, in other words, he keep in subjection to the grind, to the vigorous training, which allows him to be spiritually fit. It says, and bring it into subjection. In other words, you gotta have stern and rigid discipline when it comes to being spiritually fit, when it comes to this vigorous training spiritually, when you're going after the prize, aka the eternal prize, aka eternal salvation. You see? It says, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, okay? In other words, when he have published and proclaimed to others, I myself should be a castaway. I myself should be unfit, rejected, unproved. You see? So you have to have a need for self-discipline when you're doing this work. You got to be self-disciplined, man. The prize is eternal salvation. So in order for you to even put yourself in position to go after that, you got to have the spiritual character in order to get the heavenly reward. A worldly person ain't gonna just get that like that. Then you got to get into the contest. You got to strive to contend as you're training and as you're seeking for this prize. Okay? So you got to abstain from things that will hinder you, that will stop you from earning that prize. Okay? Because when people in the world are seeking worldly prizes, the crown they're going to receive, that's perishable. That's vain. But the crown we seeking is incorruptible, which is not liable to corruption. You see? So you gotta go through the grind. You gotta go through the vigorous training of staying disciplined spiritually, which is going to allow you to be spiritually fit. You got to overcome a lot of temptation. You got to overcome a lot of distractions. You got to overcome a lot of those things, man. And when you preaching His word, if not, you're going to be deemed a castaway. You're going to be deemed unfit. You're going to be rejected. You're going to be unproved. Yeah, this spiritual thing, man, is a serious thing, especially if you're a servant of the Lord. Self-discipline is very needed in today's time. So as we get ready to close out, in a nutshell, what am I saying to you, brothers and sisters, man? Running the race and being awarded with the eternal prize. In order for you to do that, you got to be spiritually focused. You got to approach this thing like the training and the grind that's going to come with it. You're not just going to get handed the eternal prize. Everybody is in the race together. You got people want to win the prize of worldly things, and you got those that want that eternal prize. Those that want that eternal prize, it's blood, sweat, and tears. You got to put some work in. Your discipline, we're going to see how disciplined you are. How diligent you are. How bad do you really want it? The vigorous training. The abstinence of things that it's going to take. Are you willing to put the work in spiritually to get to that eternal prize, to get to that place called eternal salvation? And that's all I got for you guys today, man. Want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, for allowing this word to come out. Man, I hope you sincere brothers and sisters were truly, truly edified. Those, again, that's planning on joining us later today for the Sabbath service, man, Lord willing, we're going to do what we usually do, bring you some food that you can nourish, that would hopefully, hit your appetite, your spiritual appetite. So all I got for you, man. Again, want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. And listen, man, always keep Yahweh through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, first in everything that you do. Stay prayed up. And when it's all said and done, bring the masseuse.